Hi, everyone, and it's so good to see you. And if you are considering writing, are already writing, want to get published, have been published, whatever your condition is at the moment, you are going to get so much from this conversation we're having today with Sharon Lynn, who's got years of experience writing and publishing a variety of genres. And she's helped and coached a lot of authors. So I'm happy to introduce you to Sharon Lynn. Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
We've been
Oh,
trying to do this for quite a while.
indeed, indeed. Oh, no pressure from that introduction.
No, I think that's how I perceive you. So I think it's sometimes, as everybody will know, we all know that we don't see ourselves the way other people see us, but the achievement record speaks for itself. So that's great. So let me ask you a question then. Where did you even start to get into writing and publishing yourself? And then how did that transition move to helping others?
Well, it started officially back in 2007, I guess, 2007, 2008, when the very first thing we published was this, which was a set of Crystal Skull Oracle cards. So that sounds, like a bit of a weird way to get into writing and publishing. But essentially, the very first book, if you like, that I ever wrote was this little booklet, which goes with the set of cards. And that was really when Mystic Mouse Publishing was created and was born, because there was nobody that wanted to take that set of cards on. So me, with my entrepreneurial head, just went, well, this set's got to be out there, so I've got to figure out how to do it. So I figured out how to set up my own self-publishing company. So that's what we did. So Mystic Mouse as a company had been going for some time. I enlisted the help of Lorenzo, who anybody who knows me will know he's my business partner and soulmate. And I said, this is what we need to create. So I just chucked all my ideas at him. I'm not an artist, so I really needed to enlist his assistance. And that was when the publishing company was born. So that was that. We then did another set of cards. And then actually I went to create a CD, which is another conversation for another day. So all these little sort of very spiritual and empowering things sort of started to come through Mystic Mouse Publishing. And then it sort of took a really different turn in, I think, probably 2014, I think it was 2014. When I was actually, again, with a different hat on, fundraising coordinator for Medical Detection Dogs charity. And I'd had a conversation with them about, I think perhaps it would be a really good idea to share some stories, of clients and things like that. Anyway, long story short, further to those conversations, I got introduced to a gentleman with golden retrievers who wanted to write and publish a book.
Oh.
Anyway, so we did that, which was to support, so all the sales from that supported medical detection dogs. And that was actually the history of golden retrievers. So it was actually a very practical book, and not aligned with, not aligned, but it certainly wasn't coming from a spiritual sort of esoteric empowering space. So and then after we'd done that, quite a few people were sort of going, oh, actually, well, can we pick your brains, can we do something? So Renzo and I set up a couple of days where we just thought we'd just talk to people about writing, getting their books written, publishing, because we'd then gone through the whole process of helping somebody to writing our own stuff, and then setting up the company and getting that out there. So from 2014 to 18, which when I was really, really poorly, and So for 4 years, essentially what we did was a variety of training courses. So we set up something called the Get Writing, Get Published solution,
Yes.
which literally this week, finally, after all these years, has gone onto our website. So people can actually now download that as a manual. So essentially it's the manual that we used for our 4-day course. So yeah, so in that 4-year period, we had, I don't know, maybe I think we published maybe 20, 25 authors, most of whom I assisted, you know, from idea to creation. So the great thing about having Lorenzo as my business partner in amongst all of this is that he's very creative, he's very innovative, he's what I call my tech wizard. And between us, we literally can do everything. So like we can take an idea. So if you just go, well, I've got an idea, but I've got absolutely nowhere to start, the first sort of part of that process is they have a chat with me. You know, you would have a chat with me. We would brainstorm a load of stuff, and you know, by the end of sort of half an hour or so, I've normally managed to get my client to get really excited, really motivated, have a really good idea. We've even maybe brainstormed some titles, and then we can in-house sort of take people through the whole process. So, you know, the whole creation process, how to put it together. Not for novels, this is non-fiction. So this is like transformational books. So we assist people to, you know, take people on a journey with a book. And from a practical level, you know, we can do everything that's involved in that. So literally from idea, you know, they then write it, I can proofread it and edit it. I tend not to, I haven't volunteered myself for that for a long time because it tends
a horrible job.
It tends to make my brain hurt, but I can proofread, I do edit, but I tend to sort of farm that out to other people now if possible. And then Renzo is the technical wizard who puts it all together. So he's the one that does the covers, you know, all the typesetting, the formatting, all of that. And then, you know, potentially at the end of that, we either point people to various sort of publishing options, or we can publish it ourselves. We haven't done that for a long time until this year, because when I was really poorly, the whole publishing side of things is not the thing that excites me the most because it's such a strange industry still, I find anyway, personally. But yeah, so that's sort of like how it began in the process. And so where we're at now, sort of having gone full circle, me getting myself better and back on track, now really, I suppose, I mean, I don't class myself as a book coach, but I am, if you see what I mean. It's just sort of, it's just something that's organically happened. And because obviously I'm so in tune with everything and all that is, and people at soul level, when somebody comes to me with a book idea, essentially I then start channeling and it just goes off on a really exciting journey. And I think probably the most important thing I would say about writing, or I suppose from the experiences, is not the most important thing about writing at all. That's not the right way to put it. The train of thought in my head that I'm sort of going, actually I need to share this with people, and this is a classic example of what actually happened this week with a client. She'd come to me with an idea, and it was a reasonably formulated idea in her head. And then I said, but have you, she was stuck on a little bit, and I said, but have you really thought about the transformational journey? Have you really thought about where your client is at right now, or your friend or family member or whoever it is that is going to be your reader, and where they want to get to? So the very first thing that I normally take people through, assuming that they already know what their passion is, if they've got a few ideas, then actually we go back a bit further than that and figure out what the passion is. But assuming that you know your topic and your genre, the very first thing I take people through is something that I call the transformation target. So this is the little So very simple. It's just a set of 4 questions. And it's, you know, what's the transformation you want for yourself? What's the transformation you want for your reader? And that is most important, because that literally like feeds its way through the whole of the book. What's the transformation you want for your business, if you've got one? If you haven't got one, then you really ought to think about creating a business around your book, because the book itself, unless you are very lucky to get a, you know, a publisher to take you on, it's highly unlikely that the book itself is going to make you a lot of money, as you will know. But a lot of authors do come in thinking, oh, that's going to be my livelihood. And it's actually quite difficult to make a very, very decent salary out of the book. But if you build a business around the book, then that's a whole different ball game, because you can have all sorts of things that come off of that, you know, workshops and, you know, videos and teachings and trainings and things. And what's the transformation you want for the world, even if it's just your little world around you. And I think, you know, most of the people that have come to me, because of my background and the sorts of light workery, healery types that I attract, everybody has a story. Everybody has an experience, something that they've gone through, something that they've got over. And their initial thought process is, I want to share my story to help others. And that's great, brilliant starting point. But actually what I found is that most people need to maybe think a little bit deeper about just sharing their story, because when they start to write, it's actually quite a cathartic experience if you are sharing your story. And I found this personally myself. I started to write my personal story because I thought, actually, if I shared all of this stuff, people will go, oh, it's not just me that's had all of this happen to them, because, you know, a lot of people feel alone with their stuff. But I started to write it, and because I'd actually healed and forgiven a lot of that trauma that I'd been through, I actually found it quite difficult to recall the memory that I really wanted to write about, to share. And it became a very frustrating experience for me. So I meditated on it, and I was like, right, okay. And I ended up writing a totally different book, which was actually this one, which is even now currently being rewritten. So this was my first book, if you like, which was If Bees Can Fly, Anything Is Possible. So it was a book about how to write books easily and effortlessly using the symbology of the bee, because obviously they prepare, you know, they use structure. So again, these are like the 4 pinnacles of what we use in the manual. It's preparation, structure, you know, how you put it all together. And of course, people want to know how they can make money from it. So there's like a Be Abundant, you know, section as well. But that's being rewritten. That will hopefully be relaunched this year. But the point I was trying to make was that if people have gone through, you know, really traumatic experiences that they want to share, going back to that transformation, those transformational questions, they are so key, because it's so important that you understand what the journey is that you want to take your client on. And also as well, just on a sort of a, you know, side step for when somebody's writing, if you know 100% who your person is. So when I'm writing, I write specifically with one person in my head. It's somebody who's been a customer and a client and a fan of mine for many years. And every time I write something, I write it as if I'm writing it for her. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's an esoteric book, whether it's something practical, whether it's a blog, because I know that she will want to read and learn about whatever it is. And so when I do that, then I only write and speak in one language. Because what I found when I first started writing, particularly with esoteric and, you know, healery type language, is that I get to a point and I go, oh, I don't know if everybody's going to understand that. So then I change the language a bit to maybe make it more basic, or, you know, use a different sort of style of writing. And then actually that throws the whole thing, because you then go, oh, well, now I don't know who I'm talking to. Am I talking to the person who's been doing this for years? Or am I talking to the person who's just started on their pathway? As a, for instance, that was my, so I kept swapping from one to the other, and then it just became inconsistent writing. So I think that's another really, really good key tip, you know, for somebody who is writing.
So it's very, very obvious then, Sharon, that you have a tremendous amount to give, to draw from, and to help people with. So how do you see your business going forward now? What would you like to happen? Because I'm aware that the audience will be thinking, oh, Sharon can do this, and I could go to Sharon for that. She'll help me with this. So you've covered the practical side of it and the offers you have, and you've obviously shown here now how well you can coach. But going forward then, what would you say to the audience if what are you looking to provide now? Are you focusing on the coaching? Can they come to you to help with their publishing?
Yeah, so I mean, if you whoever's watching goes to the website, you will see that we have all sorts of products available. So we've got, you know, journals and notebooks, and so all things that are actually there to encourage people to write for a start, and to get in tune with themselves and where they, you know, really would like to be going. So so that's, I guess the first thing is, you know, we've got products on the website potentially that can assist, as well as the Get Writing, Get Published manual. So I would say that's the first thing to go and look at, to see the sorts of things that we've got up there and that we produce. And obviously from a business perspective, yeah, great, please buy them, that would be wonderful. From a services perspective, from, you know, my own point of view, there isn't anything up there at the moment about what I do as a book coach. I've never really advertised that, apart from when we were doing the courses, because I like that to be an organic thing from when I have a conversation with somebody. So what I'm actually offering at the moment is I'm actually offering free 20-minute sessions, and that can be on anything. So that's not just about writing, but there would be like a free discovery call is the first step. So that then gives me an idea, what's that person after, is it something that I can assist with, and then really we sort of take the journey from there as to wherever it needs to go, because everybody is in a different place on their writing journey. So it may be that they want to brainstorm and that they really need to sort of, you know, get all their ideas down. It also might be that they've already got a manuscript that they're nearly ready for it, in which case then we'll have a conversation around, well, okay, do you need somebody to typeset it? Do you need a cover designed, which is Lorenzo's department, but I'm always the first port of call for those conversations, because I just point everything his way. So it's a very free-flowing, organic sort of process. But yeah, I love assisting people in that way. I love obviously the brainstorming and getting the creative ideas, and, you know, helping people with chapter headings or things like that, or writing the back cover. So I think the first port of call is go to mysticmouse.com. I would say probably one of two things: either contact me for a free discovery session, or purchase the Get Writing, Get Published manual, which is £35 at the moment, which is an absolute bargain, because it's the manual that went with the £497 4-day course. So we've literally distilled that entire course into a 60-page manual, and that literally does take people from, again, concept to idea. So it's like, you know, there's all sorts of things in there. We've got the rapid content creator, you know, what step by step, how to put things in your chapters, you know, how to brainstorm titles, you know, is it a right brain title, is it a left brain title, do you need one of each? So literally that manual can take you, you know, from start to finish. We've even got a section on block clearing, you know, the transformation targets in there that I've already talked about. And then there's also a section in the back about, you know, sort of ISBN, setting your price. We've got the, you know, author's profit pyramid. So there's, you know, bits in there about how to make money as well, and, you know, how to potentially get published.
I think this is why people don't write. This is why people give up.
100%.
Because there is so much involved, and they don't know how to approach publishers, traditional publishers, independent publishers. It's very different now to what it was 10 years ago. Yeah. And how much social media connections they need, how much, you know, or PR do they need to input, and how much do they need to buy and print as you go, or, you know, all this stuff. And it's a nightmare. So I think it's a very valuable service that you're offering there to people. And the coaching side is the other thing that keeps you motivated to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, and I think this is the thing, I think a lot of people do almost start the wrong way round, scare themselves silly, because they're like, oh, I'd like to be a published author. So they start to look into, how do I get published? And then that just, it almost, you know, that little voice in the head goes, oh my God, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much. Yeah. And so I think it's, you know, it's almost forget the publishing, forget that. I think the first thing is, if you've got a passion and you've got something to share, you know, just get going, just get writing. And in fact, my friend Shirley, I don't know whether you saw the questions, because I did a Facebook post, and I mean, I'll obviously go back in there and answer those. But my friend Shirley in Australia said, you know, well, what advice have you got about just making the time and the space to do it? And the reason that that's dropped back into my brain is because I'm talking about passion. Now, I know that she's got a dog. I know she loves her greyhound. She's a greyhound rescuer, she won't mind me saying. And I think that's so key when you're writing, is like, what is your passion? What is it that's going to get you up and out of bed in the morning? And you know, so like, you know, it's like me with the Power of Dogs book, you know, that Becky and I have just created, you know. Like, I mean, that was Becky's idea, you know. Her dog said to me, you need to write a book. I mean, some people might think that's a bit crazy, but you know, when I was working on that, you know, it was the message that I wanted to, with Becky, get out into the world, is that we all have to listen differently, and we have to listen more to our dogs if we are dog owners. And it was that passion to get that message out there that made me make the time every day. It's like, if you're writing because you feel like you've got to write, it's like, it just becomes something else you've got to, you know, pigeonhole into your day. But, you know, if your passion is so strong, and you know that there is a really big message that, you know, your little world or humanity, whatever, needs to hear, that will in and of itself make you just make that extra half an hour a day. There's a little bit in the manual, actually, and I can't remember the exact figures now, but I researched it when we were creating the manual, and literally in 10 minutes a day, you can follow in the process that we've laid out in there. So it's like a top-down process that just makes it easy, section by section, to write non-fiction. 10 minutes a day is all you need to create a small book, 15 to 20,000 words, which, if you've got some images and stuff in there, that's perfectly fine. That's all mine is, but it still looks like a you know, perfectly good book. You can literally write a book and get it published in 2-3 months, just a few weeks. Yeah, I mean, and if you sat literally with like just 10 minutes a day. Yeah. So it's like, if somebody says to me, I haven't even got 10 minutes a day, it's like, well, then don't even bother. I can't, you know, not being funny, but you're not passionate enough, and I can't be bothered. But literally in 10 minutes a day, if your passion is there and you work through that process that we've got in the manual, absolutely within a few weeks you can be a published author. And I just think that's so exciting. So it's like, moral of the story, back to where that little journey took us, don't think about the publishing, don't worry about that. If you've got a message to share, literally just get writing, and somebody like myself or you at the end of that journey can go, right, well, now this is what you can consider doing with it, and let somebody else hold your hand through that. Don't worry about it, don't get bogged down in it, otherwise you won't write.
And of course a lot of people do have manuscripts already, and maybe more than one, but they get a little bit tired in time, and you've outgrown them, or you've grown further and developed more, so they can be rehashed. Never give up on anything you've written. But that's wonderful. It's a really comprehensive view of you and what you offer, your business, and how you can help people. So I'd like to just address the audience then. So I hope you've enjoyed Sharon's talk, and she's given you lots of insight here. If you're feeling timid, give her a call. If you're feeling empowered, give her a call. Go on to mysticmouse.com. And thank you, Sharon. That's really nice. Is there anything you'd just like to leave them with? Have you got a catchphrase or any kind of motto that you'd like to?
I think the one that has always stuck with me is, if bees can fly, anything is possible. So I think that's, I think that sort of does encapsulate what writing is about, because I think it seems such a huge task for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you think if those bumblebees can flap their wings enough to get off the ground and survive, I think that's, I love that. Just love that phrase. If bees can fly, anything is possible. The bee remains. It's the little bit on the back of the book. I'll just read this little sentence. The bee remains a symbol to many of accomplishing quests that would seem impossible. The bee reminds us that no matter how great the dream, there is the promise of fulfillment if we pursue it. Please never ever give up on your dreams, because if bees can fly, anything is possible.
And that's so true. That's very true. And also, one of the questions that people often have, and I know people out there now who are watching this have asked me, that who do you trust? Who do you trust out there? And I would say, this is why I'm giving you these authors and publishers, etc. This is why we're doing these talks, is so that you can go to people that I recommend. And if you trust me and you enjoy your time with me and the people that I invite to come and talk to you, I can assure you, you get good service. I don't discuss anything with anyone that I don't value myself. So on that lovely note, thank you, Sharon. Wonderful. Have a really good day. Thank you very much, Sharon. Cheerio.